Hello. Hi, my name is Alia, and today we'll do a short tutorial on how we can use Articulate Storyline 360. We'll do a short assessment and at the same time go through some of the things that you might want to know when you're jumping into Articulate Storyline for the first time. And in case you are wondering, Articulate Storyline 360 is a paid software, but it is one of the best tools available online for e-learning authoring. You can register yourself for a free trial if you want to explore. I'm using it right now. So simply add your email and phone number, and of course you will need to verify before you can use your account. This is not a sponsored video. I am simply doing this because I feel that most people want to jump into Storyline and become an instructional designer or a learning designer but don't know where to start, and they're uncomfortable doing so, and hence this short little tutorial. Without further ado, let's begin by clicking on New Project. So you'll see something like this, and you might feel a little bit familiar because Articulate Storyline is essentially PowerPoint with steroids. That's how I like to call it. Right. So there's something called starting scene. So it's basically with that flag little icon there. And on the right side, you can see something called triggers, slide properties. And these are made by default, and that's perfectly fine. We can just leave it like that. When we jump into the slides, we can just double click it, and then if should you have any more scenes or anything like that, you can just view it by clicking this drop down button. But we're not going to do that. To create a question on Storyline, you need to go to Insert tab, and then you will see the different things that might not be available on PowerPoint. That's why I mentioned it's basically PowerPoint, but on steroids. So you might see something familiar like the shapes, the text box, tables, and so on. But there are some extra things, such as characters, where you can click and sort of see the things that are available for you to use. But of course, this is for the subscription only. We are going to use something that's free, which is Lily. And when we click or download the characters, you can see the different expressions that they have pre-made and the different poses that they might come together with. So these are pretty standard. You have one hand on the hips, you have both hands on the hips, and there are some other different poses as well that you can use for your e-learning courses and subject to your suitabilities. For example, there are some scenes that you want to do, let's say like she's teaching, or maybe she's having a headache, so she can just do that, and then you can use a different expression to match her body language. So maybe disappointed, something like that, so it looks like she's really having a headache or anything like that. Of course, you can style it differently as according to the situations as mentioned, but in this case we're just going to do holding a sign because I want to do a short assessment and I want her to be happy, so I'm just going to click happy, insert, and you'll get something like this. You can of course change perspectives from, let's say you want to do it on the right, or you want to do it on the left, or you want to do it on the right. You can do that depending on the suitability of your content. And in this case, I'm happy with her facing us right away. And I'm going to do something called cropping. It's similar to any images you can do with PowerPoint. And I'm going to enlarge her to fit on the right side of our slide. And to add on to that, let's use a cat photo to add into this paper here, just to ask the question, what animal is it? So it's just going to be a simple question that we can use, and we can do something called convert to freeform. So this one is a little bit more, it's a little bit different from what we can do with PowerPoint. So I'm not going to dive into that, just a brief introduction to what you can do. Drag and drop, pick one item out of the many. Pick many items out of the many. So it could be 2, 3, 4 items out of 6. Text entry, hotspot. So hotspot is basically something that you might want to use if you want to find an item in a certain slide. For example, finding Waldo. So that's that. And there's a shortcut key where you can make a combinations of a few keystrokes. Right. So to do our question, I'm going to go under slides and you will find something called graded questions. So this is the template that we can use to make our assessment. In this graded question slide, we can choose the different types of questions that we want. There's true or false, there's multiple choice, multiple response, fill in the blank, word bank, match drag and drop, matching drop down, sequence drag and drop, sequence drop down, numeric, and hotspot. So there's a lot of different things you can try and explore. Of course, we're going to try and do something simple. So let's do this one, multiple choice. And when you do click that, don't panic. It's called form view. So you can you can type in your answers here. Let's say what animal is this? So that's cat and dog. We're just going to do a simple one. And to just copy paste, you can simply cut and paste with the shortcut key, and you can always delete that later. We have yet to set an answer key. So how do we do that? There's two ways. First is from the form view, where we can click on correct on either the cat or the dog, or the ABC in this case. Or we can use a slide view, where we can just manually select the options available. And to make it a little bit more nicer, of course, we can just drag here a little bit and make it more presentable. And if you want to do a background just to make it a little bit more nicer, you can just do that quickly by adding a shape and putting it to the back. You can also change the colors and so on. So it depends on how you like your content to be showcase, or what's the aesthetic that you're going for. But of course, if you're doing this for corporate, make sure you are doing this with the corporate branding colors. Otherwise, it might look a little bit out of place, and we don't want that. We want to maintain our professionalism by applying the corporate brand colors into our training or e-learning content. And once you're happy, you can also add or change the colors of your drop-down button, like this one. So it's an orange instead of blue, which is the default, the radio style colors here. So you can click one of these answers first and then choose the colors. And once we're done, we can just straight away preview this slide. Okay, so you might notice that the highlight here is a little bit out of place. So you know what to do. You can amend those later. And when you want to submit this answer, you realize that it's a little bit weird and you don't know where to submit. And as a first-time user, it's going to be a little bit more confusing. And the way to do this is by clicking at the corner right button here. That's when we're going to get the answer. And of course, as a first-timer, that's not going to be a very nice experience. We want to reduce that, that gap. And to do that, we can simply just add a button. I prefer this one because it's not too rounded, it's not too squared, it's just how I like my aesthetics to be. But again, depending on the corporate style and branding. Yeah, you get the idea. So let's just assume that we just do it as submit. And this button is not going to work, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Just because we added a button, it doesn't mean that it's going to work. And of course, when we click on that, nothing happens. We still need to click down here. And the only way to do that is by looking at the triggers. So triggers helps you to track a certain event to happen, and then something else will follow, meaning that that specific item or variable will be sort of looked at as a form of event, if that makes sense, and then something else will follow after. And in this case, when we click on the button submit, we want to make sure that the answer is submitted, and we want to see if we're correct or incorrect. So correct or incorrect. To do that, we can just click on new, and then we can select submit interaction when the user clicks on button 1, which is this button here. So when we do that, we can straight away click preview, and then from there we can see if we're right or wrong. So in this case, we are wrong. And of course, we can't repeat that because we didn't do that as a part of our settings. So if you want to have unlimited numbers to submit the answer, You can do that. I believe it's called unlimited. Yeah, unlimited. You can do that, and depends again on the strategy that you're going for as a training or e-learning content. So that is all from me. I hope that was helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thank you.